Hey, what's up, guys? It's Epiphanies here, and I'm doing a quick review of the female Thor. Now, I know it's a dead talking point at this juncture, but I wanted to speak out about it only because, it says that Thor was unworthy. When I saw that title, I had to just give my 2 cents in hindsight or whatever you want to call it. So, let's watch the clip.
Jane.
Sorry, I just needed to make sure you were real. It's been a very strange day.
I am. Jane, what?
So that's the only part of the clip I want to play, as, the rest of it really isn't all that important. Her excuses for slapping him is that he didn't call. And that, Thor was saying, hey, I had to protect my realm, which is actually a very valid excuse. If you've got superseding responsibilities, you should be able to look after it. So one might ask, why am I bringing this up here and now? Well, it's for the specific reason that when you read the Thor comic books, or any comic book that has a strong male protagonist, these things didn't happen. Women weren't able to just walk up and slap Colossus because, he didn't call or he didn't do the dishes. And I think for the most part, that's why I read comic books back in the day. That's why I, would watch the X-Men TV show, because the struggles were very human and they didn't deal with this irritating, wishy-washy content of someone not calling you back. So I guess what I'm saying is just the idea that this two-dimensional character, with her two-dimensional or even one-dimensional gripes about him not calling her back, and not, trusting the character, or should I say, trusting her boyfriend for all intents and purposes, and believing and understanding that if he isn't there, that he must have a good reason. But, the idea that the god of thunder needs to cater to this woman, and when I say woman, I really mean that who is she really compared to the god of thunder? So comparatively, we have, as I've stated before, the God of Thunder. And when I was watching different reviews on the comic book, I think I went online and I was looking at just one that dealt with the whole comic book, and I was trying to give it a fair shake, and I was reading through it and all of that good stuff. But what is she doing with her time? Is she striving for humanity? Is she striving for the realms of which, the weapon Mjolnir comes from? No. She's attacking these demon-like creatures for calling her a feminist, and adding negative connotation to it. And the crazy thing is this idea that these creatures that literally come from a different planet, literally come from a different realm, why would they have any 2 cents on concepts that are wholly humanic, like, feminism, MRAs, and Israel, and red pill knowledge? Why would they care about that? They live in a world where if they don't like somebody, or a foe steps to them, they literally would just kill them, and then say, well, it's a code of honor. I came out victorious, therefore what I say goes. And I knew it was sort of the beginning of the end, because when I watched the first bit of this that I saw in the Marvel universe was when Black Widow tricks some information out of Loki. Loki is known as the god of lies, and he's this great trickster. And it's kind of tied into his super abilities of being able to deceive you and mask his form and appearance as being somebody or something else. So it's a little asinine that Romanoff would be able to do this. This is a person who's literally perfectly suited for deception, and they try to say because Romanoff had all of this training, that somehow she would be able to trick a creature that she doesn't know. And the subtext of that really irritated me was well, he's a dude, so any woman can trick any dude no matter what his power level is, because all men are stupid. So this thing that I saw in early comic book movies that I really hated was just their insertion of the common sort of societal narrative, a narrative or a belief system that was actually free from the comic books. Now, not that the comic books never dealt with weighty issues and issues that really struck home, but all of these like societal rules and things that we're sort of forced to believe about each other, and in this case women, that is what I found the most distasteful. That we have something that literally doesn't exist in the realm of the comic book now being forcibly inserted into the narrative of the comic book movie as if it was there to begin with and as if it was a normal thing. So in the ever expanding effort of people who are SJWs and etc. To make new inroads of sort of dethroning the a long-standing narrative, now it only makes sense that they would intrude into comic books. There was that thing that happened with a line that Robert Downey Jr.'s character Tony Stark said when he was trying to lift the hammer, and he basically had stated that he was going to enact a practice that only the king could enjoy. Like, there was a king, the king could have sex with a man's wife before he had a chance to after they were married. And of course, the SJWs got all in a tizzy about this, and it's really interesting that he made a cheeky statement, and we're just supposed to lie down and accept them dethroning our characters, stealing their backstory, and stealing their power and their glory, and saying that somehow because it's a woman or a minority, that it's not just as good, but it's actually somehow superior. It's kind of like that scene in The Simpsons where Stan Lee was a guest star, and he was hanging out at the comic book guy's store, and he saw a kid with the Batmobile, the Adam West Batmobile, and he said, "Hey, wouldn't you like to play with this toy?" And I can't remember whether it was Wolverine or the Thing, but I think it was the Thing. And he said he won't fit in there, and he jams it in until the Batmobile breaks, and then he says, "You broke it," and he says, "Broke it or made it better?" This is the kind of logic that we are dealing with this new wave of just terrible comic books. So I think I'll end my rant with this. How is Jane Foster worthy? We've seen numerous amount of comic books, not just relating to Thor, that show the character when they get off kilter, when they get arrogant, when they do something wrong. Doctor Strange was a great example of this in the comic books, where he was this arrogant guy who was always after prestige, and an event happened to humble him. And I definitely don't see that with any of these comics, let alone the female Thor comic. So I ask again, how is Jane Foster worthy of Mjolnir? When Beta Ray Bill picked up Thor's hammer, he was worthy of wielding that power. But what did they do? They gave him his own hammer, which was really cool. Another character I can think of that also had their own hammer was Thunderstrike. Thunderstrike had a really, really cool backstory. And I see all of these proven things where these characters suffer for what they have. They strive to keep it, and they're heroes just for the right reason. That's why they're heroes, because they're good. They're good characters. They're good people, and that's their overall moral message. But the message now being pushed by characters like the female Thor is that you don't have to be worthy. You just have to be a chick. So that's all I wanted to say about this and the female Thor, and I'll see you guys next time. Epiphanies is out.